All right. Welcome to the podcast. I'm Scott. I'm sober and I'm a heathen. Therefore, I am the sober heathen. Hence the name of the podcast. Thanks for listening. Another great interview today. Please check out the other ones that are posted and please find us wherever you like to listen and like and comment or subscribe or do whatever that app um, as you do to support the podcast, not just for me, but the people that are recovering out loud. They're the most important ones. It's not easy for everybody to get on and tell their story and do that. So they deserve that support. So give them a listen and support the podcast so we can keep doing this. Um, Lots of podcasts this week. I had two yesterday, another good one today, two tomorrow. So they're firing off like crazy. I am truly honored to have people willing to come and do this stuff. So today I have Mel. Mel, welcome to the Sober Heathen podcast. Tell us where you're from and a little bit about your story, if you would.
Hey, I'm from the greater Seattle area in the Pacific Northwest, and I got sober almost exactly 6 years ago. I celebrated my 6 year sober anniversary on Tuesday. So here
Woo!
I am, 6 years and 2 days. And I just woke up one day feeling sick and tired of being sick and tired. I felt like a waste of space. I had lost friends, jobs. It's probably part of the reason why my marriage had ended. And I woke up and I was like, I can't do this anymore. I'm just going to give myself 2 weeks. I'm going to try 2 weeks, see if I can dry up, just see how I feel. And after the 2 weeks, I was like, okay, well, let's try June. And here we are 6 years later. And it's the best thing that I've done. It gave me my life back.
Oh yeah. I'm going to get an applause button one of these days or a crowd cheering thing because I mean, it just doesn't do it justice for me to fist pump and say woo over here. I
Yeah.
mean, 6 years is freaking amazing.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. They
So
tend to add up after a while.
yeah, and I think it's really interesting just to start off with that you said I'm going to do 2 weeks and just see what it's like. I mean,
Yep.
when you made that decision, was there any intent? Was there an intent of I'm going to give it 2 weeks and then I'm going to go see if I can regulate, or was it I'm going to give myself 2 weeks and then make a decision? How was your mind working on that?
I don't think my mind was thinking that far. I think I just wanted to see what would happen at the end of 2 weeks, and it just felt like it was what I was supposed to do. I don't really think I had much of an intent after that 2 weeks.
I think that's great. I mean, that's that intent, sometimes setting an expectation and look what happened. So, I mean,
Yeah, I
you know, we,
definitely didn't expect this to happen.
right. Well, it worked out really well. And we were talking a little bit and I want you to talk about that too, but we are talking about AA prior to recording and,
Yeah.
AA says, and part of the book, it talks about, well, quit for a day or a week and then try to maintain if that's what you want to do. And that'll be your answer on if you can do it. And you kind of did exactly that. You did 2 weeks and you're like, holy crap, and again, don't let me put words in your mouth, but you did 2 weeks. You're like,
No,
oh,
it was
I
holy
feel pretty
crap.
good,
Look
right?
what I can do. Look
Yeah.
what I can do.
I love that. I'm gonna put that with the cheer. Look what I can do.
Exactly. Because
Yep.
honestly, sobriety, you really don't know what you can do with it until you start it. And what I love about sobriety and recovering out loud is I get to connect with all these other people who didn't know what their life would be like. And they're like, I can do all of these things now that I've gotten sober. I can get my black belt. I can open a small business. I can go for runs and go hiking with my kids. Like all these things you didn't ever think, even the small ones ever think were ever achievable when you were drinking. Sobriety's like, look what I can do.
That's awesome. So you're a black belt now, huh?
Oh no, that's an example from somebody else. Oh gosh, no.
Okay.
I'm
Okay. I was gonna say that's pretty badass.
no. I have to be reminded how to throw a punch. I want to take self-defense classes. I do. I'm now that we're getting more out of this pandemic-y phase, I can go back
Sure.
to learning how to defend myself.
Yeah, and the fog starts to clear after using, and the longer
Mm-hmm.
you get, I'm only 8 months into it. Okay, let me rephrase that. Saying only 8 months is a negative. I am happily 8 months into it, gratefully 8 months into it, and every day seems like everything's a little bit clearer.
Yes. I love that. I love the first the pink phase, is that the pink haze, is that what they call it? When you first get sober and everything is just starting to fit and starting to click in. And what I love is that comes back for me around my soberversaries and
Yeah.
big, huge, like 1,000 days sober, 2,000 days sober, 5 years sober. You know, I kind of get that. If you cut me, I'm going to just explode sunshine all over the place. And I love that feeling about sobriety.
It's
How you
amazing.
start to feel, like actually feel things again. Joy feels like joy. Laughter feels like laughter, not just like ha ha ha. You actually feel that laughter inside of you, and go on and on about that.
Oh, please do. I mean,
I've
people.
blogged about how my laugh has changed since I was actively drinking and when I got sober. I used to have, I think his name is Nelson on The Simpsons, that ha ha.
Mhm.
That was my laugh. My laugh now is nothing like that. My laugh has joy. My laugh has melody. My laugh has different pitches to it. And it actually sounds like someone who can feel joy again and who has emotions again. And that's what I love that sobriety gave me back, is my joy.
Yeah, it's authentic, right? All the feelings
Yes.
are authentic. They're
And yes, that
real.
means that the crappy feelings are going to feel bad too, but they're going to feel bad whether or not I'm drinking. And I would rather prefer to not have a hangover to add to my emotional pain,
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. And
among
I'm
other
glad.
things, of course.
Sure, and I'm glad you mentioned that. It numbs the things, but you're absolutely right. They're still there.
Mm-hmm.
I consumed gallons and gallons and gallons of alcohol per week at the end, and oddly enough, I couldn't drink enough to make my problems go away as hard as
Right?
I tried. You know what I
Nope.
mean? I would swallow my vomit when I would drink in the morning to stop the shakes, to preserve that alcohol and not waste it. But you know
Yep.
what? It never, even all that effort, never did a damn thing to take away my problems.
Just
And I,
seems to make things a little bit worse. Adds a few more problems into it.
yeah, because you're ignoring them, and then
Mm-hmm.
when things go away, if you have a cut and it gets infected and you ignore it, I mean, it's only going to get worse. So that's really what a disease is, and addiction is a disease. And if you don't treat it the right way,
Exactly.
it won't get better. So yeah, we were talking about it beforehand, and I love the energy that you're bringing. So don't hold back. I mean, it's so important for people. Like, you know, I always sit here and I'm like, God, I'm doing these podcasts. It's so awesome to hear people's stories, but I don't know if I'm helping anybody. And then all of a sudden I'll get a DM, or I'll get an email, or I'll get something where they're like, I listened to this podcast and wow, I really related and really helped. So hearing the energy coming from you for somebody that's, early on is important, because, yeah, we have to be realistic and say, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
you feel better, you feel the bad better, but the good outweighs that, right?
Yes, the good absolutely does that way. And that's one thing you have to remind yourself is, I'll be sitting in my little chair crocheting around and I'll just get hit with a memory of like a span of bad decisions, or when I just decided to drink, I'll have 3 beers before I'd get on the bus and continue on my way to work. And I'll just be remembered of, I can just feel myself in that position and I have to stop, because thinking about where I was is going to do me absolutely no good. And I have to put myself in the position where I am now. Where I am now is sober. I am safe. I am secure and I'm stable. And that's one thing that we have to not dwell on when we're getting sober and continuing to stay sober, is what we did in the past. What we did in the past is done. It's over. The only thing we can continue to do is not let that past repeat itself.
Brilliant. I mean,
Well,
well
that would
said.
be called brilliant, but thank you. I appreciate
No,
that.
I mean, that's exactly what it is. No amount of worrying and beating yourself up about past mistakes is going to change them. They are going to
Mm-mm.
be what they are, and
Mm-hmm.
you have to move on. And I think it
Mm-hmm.
is important to remember them at times, just to keep it fresh, so you don't convince yourself that we can recover, but
Right?
convince ourselves that we can go back and, maybe to be
Was
different
I
this time.
really that bad? Yes, Mel, you were really that bad.
Evidence would suggest that to be the case,
Yes.
especially for me.
Oh,
You know,
yes.
I spent about a half an hour to 45 minutes last night going through old Facebook pictures that I posted of my kids, and that was a half an hour to 45 minutes of tears pouring down my face.
Oh, man, I'm
Just
sorry.
Well, it it did nobody any good for me to do that. It was a good time remembering the good times before the shit hit the fan, and then it was a reminder of the things that what's and the times I've missed. But I
Yeah.
can't change that. I can only continue to do what I'm doing here today and make a better future. And I don't know if you've listened to the podcast before, but a really good interview that I had with Gail. I think she had around 30 years of sobriety. She might have even celebrated it the day she came on. I think she celebrated it. But anyway, her kids.
Sorry about
That's
that.
all right. We got,
That's my clock.
yeah, we got two guests today.
Well, the cats are running around and I'm surprised they haven't come to say hi. And I took the chance, but he goes wherever I go. There's windows all around here.
That's all
So,
right. Totally fine with it.
and
Not
this
the
is
first
closest
pup.
to the internet, and my room probably would have had me going like this
Right
way
on.
more than it is now. So,
That's all right.
bye.
We love our pets.
Oh, yeah. He is a very good boy. He knew me when I was drunk and forgave me and loves me even
Aw.
more now that I'm sober.
Talk about unconditional love.
Oh,
There's
yes.
nothing.
Unless I'm not taking him out when he wants to go out. Then he doesn't like me very much.
Right. I'll
Okay.
finish with Gail. She
Yes.
is one that had relationships, even with her children, that did not recover fully. But she has come to accept that, and she is living her best life. So I mean, if you're listening and you're like, oh my God, I lost all these things, all I want is them to come back. They can come back, but that is out of your control. All you can do is do what you can do to better yourself, and then let the pieces fall as they must, or they will.
Yep.
Yep.
One thing
So,
I'm trying
oh, go ahead, please.
one thing I'm really trying to work with right now is you can't control how other people act and react. You can only control how you do. And I don't have the best relationship with my father, and it wasn't great before. Like from growing up, itty bitty, my drinking didn't really have much of an impact, but it definitely didn't help. And that's something that we're struggling with right now is just that how he views me, and I can't control how he views me. I can't control. I know he's certainly not happy that I've turned into a pink-haired crochet artist who screams that she's sober all over the place, but I can't control how he sees me. I can control how it makes me feel. I can control how I react to that. I can control how much energy I put into it and how much energy I let him put into it. So that's one thing that I'm definitely working through, as Gail has, as you kind of touched on.
That's, I mean,
Relationships with other people.
yeah. You can control the energy that you put into it.
Mhm.
People are going to say things that hurt our feelings. Our feelings are out of our control in the moment, but we can take a step back and walk ourselves through it once the fog starts to lift. I truly believe
Yep.
that. I think you put it very well. If the energy that we put into this crap is totally dependent on us, and that is all we can do and all we control. So I guess let's go back to what we were talking about before we come on started to record. You were talking about how AA isn't your choice, and that's great, because I just had Raymond on yesterday, and he's an advocate for multiple pathways, and so am I. So how are you doing it then? If I know sometimes in my recovery in the area that I live, it was AA, and you need AA. Well, that's not the case. It doesn't work for everybody. So how do you do it?
Um, I've always kind of been someone who's been on my own. I'm going to do this by myself. I got myself into this mess, so I'm going to get myself out of it. Um, and I was very lucky that when I first got sober, my neighbor was also a recovering addict, and my brother is also a recovering addict. But my neighbor is well, now she's got a career helping other addicts recover and get their life back and get back into the jobs and have healthy relationships with their families. And so I was really lucky to have both of those support systems there with me. I was lucky that when I felt I was in a mentally healthy, safe place to go back to work. I was lucky that I found a job where there were a lot of really supportive people. And I went to one AA meeting, and I didn't contribute because I didn't it was my first one, but I did put down my name and a number. So they're like, if anybody's looking for a sponsor, I was like, that could be fun. It could be nice to have that extra support. So I put down my name and my phone number, and I'm still waiting for a phone call. This has been about 4 years. I don't think I'm going to get the phone call, but that's okay, because for me, I'm doing all right. And I know that when a bad day comes, I know where my support systems are. I know, basically, for me, just stay home. That's
Sure,
the easiest way for me to not drink, is to
sure.
just stay home, because I live in a house where there's no alcohol. I don't often like walking up to the store to get alcohol, and I don't have a car. So it's not like I'm driving and I'm going to go right past a liquor store. And I have a lot of things that help me at home, like my crochet is all here, my cat is here, my dog is here, and my comfy bed is here. So those wonderful things that I use as my support, okay, not my bed, but that's just an extra reward. Those
Sure.
are the things that I'm going to lean into heavily because I know it's going to, the shit hits the fan.
Sure. Yeah. I mean, those are,
Another thing is, I know that a lot of AA groups aren't quite as much into God, but for me, that's not a driving factor.
yeah,
And I grew up not feeling welcome and wanted. And when I go to an AA meeting and I didn't feel welcome and wanted, that really is extra triggery for me. So for me, it just wasn't a safe place. But
no,
that is my experience. And I know that AA has helped so many people. And just like we all kind of got to our addictive place in a different way, like everybody's path to alcoholism and drug addiction is different.
yeah,
Everybody has different reasons. So we're all
sure.
going to have different ways to recover. What works for you isn't going to work for somebody else, because we all have different tastes in food.
Yes. And that has to be the way that we approach this, right? And that's a great way
Mm-hmm.
to put it.
Because if we gatekeep sobriety and we say that you're doing it wrong, we're going to end up turning away people.
yeah,
If you're no longer continuing to engage in the behavior that was toxic to you, that stopped you from having a meaningful relationship with life in general,
hmm,
but you can still gamble, or you can still smoke pot, or you can still have cigarettes, if you can still have coffee, but you don't drink or you don't do crack, go for it.
yeah, yeah. I'm with you 100%. In a lot of the AA meetings, you'll hear guys. I've been in treatment enough now in the past couple years that I've really changed my thoughts on this. There were guys that would come in that were stuck on a needle, um, and then they'd sit there and they would talk about, oh yeah, I can go out on the weekend and have a couple beers, watch a game, and go home and never think about alcohol again. And so if the problem it was pills or the needle or meth or whatever it was, and
Mm-hmm.
you eliminate that and alcohol isn't a problem, who am I to tell you to stay away from other substances?
Exactly.
If you can do the marijuana maintenance and keep, I mean, marijuana is not going to kill you like alcohol and the other drugs are going to kill you. So
No.
if you can do that, I couldn't. I just ended up really fucking high. I was baked up off my ass because I had a unlimited supply of it, and I was also really drunk, so it did
No.
nothing for me. You know what I mean? So yeah, absolutely. To each their own, and it's like I'm really trying to not like you know I want to be not a pioneer. I want to be an advocate for people and to do it their way, unless their
I
way is hurting themselves or others.
I don't often like to advertise it, because I do know that there is a huge backlash from the sober community, but I use cannabis.
Yeah,
And it in no way, I mean, if you look at some of the creations that I make, my crochet work, the fact that I have grown a small business since I have stopped drinking alcohol, but I still maintained smoking and eating it throughout my sobriety, it's not
mhm,
in any way stopping me from doing what I'm doing. It hasn't stopped me from showing up to work every single morning, even on even when I'm supposed to be taking a day off. I don't
sure.
take days off. It doesn't stop me from keeping my house clean. It doesn't stop me from taking care of my animals. I'm healthy. I exercise. I eat well. So it doesn't stop me from living the way alcohol did.
Oh, absolutely.
No, not even a
You know,
little bit. So, and it also helps, pain. so I can
Sure.
continue with the crochet.
There's great benefits, just like
Mhm,
Suboxone and other things, other medically,
exactly.
things that help people. Whether you agree with it or not is completely irrelevant to that person's recovery if it's helping them.
Mhm,
So,
exactly. It
you
is
can
my
throw,
recovery.
I get really irritated when I see AA guys, and I know what you're saying because I'll post stuff on Twitter and I've had a couple of hardcore AAs. It's like, well, this is how you do it. You get a sponsor, you work the steps, and you never touch anything ever again. That is the only way. Well, if that was the only way, numbnuts, then you would have 100% success rate, which you
And
do
do you?
not. And
Please
you
show
do
me in
not.
the books and the statistics where that's 100%.
Well,
Because
it was
everybody's
really
different.
right. And when they started AA, and if you actually read the big book, which I'm assuming these guys should have, but then again, that goes to it. I almost went to the religion thing, and I need to avoid that at all costs. Actually, read the book that you're talking about, and then tell me where it says that you need to get a sponsor and you need to tell them all your dirty shit. They don't, it doesn't say that in the big book at all. So you're misrepresenting it. And before AA became that, back in the, the forward to the first and second edition or whatever written in the book, they were having an alarming success rate, but it was completely open. Your religion, your spirituality didn't matter. You were just creating that connection, which you talked about with your cat, with your dog, with your brother, with your neighbor. You're creating connections with people who are like-minded and going through the same shit, and you can relate to each other, and that connection helps eliminate the addiction. And so
Yep.
however you find that connection, that's great. So
I've created a life in which I don't want to drink because I know that
bingo.
if I do, it's gonna all go away.
Mhm.
Cat, and I'm sorry, my kitty cat has a really cute face, and if I'm ever drunk, it'll confuse that cute little face, and I don't ever want to do that.
Oh man, I'll shed some honesty here too. I am doing everything in my power to not go find a puppy and to bring him here. I am, this is all I do right now. I'm trying to find work or whatever, and without a license, living where I live is a real pain in the ass. But having a little puppy to play with and snuggle up with, it seems
Well,
like
in
a
the
really good
meantime,
idea.
how about when the universe thinks you're ready, she's going to give you that puppy. But in the meantime, I volunteer at our shelter down the street with kitties. Maybe there's a shelter that you could spend some time with because puppies need to be walked, puppies need to be
Sure.
played with, puppies need someone to love them while they're waiting for someone to come and find them. And you can help them find homes, which also will help you. Trust me,
Oh
helping
yeah.
these kitties find homes helps me.
Yeah, I get it, man.
So, and it kind of fills a little spot until I can find my next kitty.
Oh man. Okay. Well, yeah. I mean, I look at the Humane Society pages in the area, and I'm liking and I'm commenting and I'm sharing and hoping to see. I think Pongo was the last one. His name was Pongo.
Aw.
Um, you know, Getting Pongo adopted would be really cool to see. But
And we've got two orange cats that are bonded that have been in with us since before Christmas, and it just breaks my heart because they're the sweetest little boys. I could spend the next 45 minutes talking about them, but they're still there, and it just breaks my heart every time. Every time I see them.
maybe that's something that I need to add into the podcast. Maybe a shout out to local humane societies. Maybe
Yes.
find some homes or something. But
Yes.
uh,
But before this turns into the cat and dog show.
sure, sure, sure. So you started your own small business.
Yes, I
So what
crochet.
you crochet and you're
Yeah,
selling your items,
I do.
right?
I sell them on Ko-fi. I started, well, it really started as a way for me to just do something with my hands to keep me busy while I was sobering up. I tried Sudoku, I tried word puzzles, I tried crossword puzzles. You can only bake so much before your family's like, really, Mel, I love you, but this is 5 batches of cookies. Give me a moment. Um, So I remembered that I liked to knit while I was drinking. So I tried to go sort of similar. I had learned how to crochet when I was an itty bitty. And so I found a crochet hook and some yarn, and it turned out that I was pretty good at it. One day, one of the maintenance guys was fixing our washer, and I noticed his hat. And I mentioned, I like your hat. And he's like, my girl sells them. And I was like, I could sell my stuff.
Sure.
And so I started selling small things like hats, but now it's evolved. I sell my Phoenix shawls, and it does look like a phoenix. And I've sold them all the way to Austria and England and
Awesome.
Canada. And I love making them because not only am I a phoenix, because I rose from the ashes, bitches, I'm better and brighter than ever, but I
Hell
get
yeah.
to learn about the people that I'm making them for. I get to learn. I, I'm not going to share their stories because that's theirs, but
Sure.
I've made one for another sober sister. I've made one for a woman who's going through a lot of health problems. And I made one for a woman in Austria who just really liked it. So
That's
I
awesome.
get to learn about the people who are also phoenixes, who are going through their own struggles and coming out through it. And it really, and then I get to inspire them as well. And they inspire me. So it's all kind of connected together. But yes, I crochet.
That is awesome. And I know exactly what you're talking about because that's what the podcast does for me. And,
Good.
people from London. I have Ireland coming up on Sunday.
Oh, heck yeah.
So we got you on the West Coast. I've had Midwest. I've had Canada. It's really awesome that the recovery community is amazing
It
because
is.
it just blends so many different varieties of people together.
Mm-hmm.
And you're going to have assholes in every community, and we talked about them a little bit, but
Yeah.
overwhelmingly the Twitter recovery community, like the hashtag recovery posse, find that hashtag and add that to your
Use
tweets if
it.
you're listening. Yeah, you will find amazing fucking people out there. I had a guy just somebody had tweeted, does anybody on here listen to podcasts? What are some good ones? And he tagged me, my podcast in it, and another dude that's got like 5,000 followers, and he's a best-selling author according to his profile. And I was like, dude, you just put me with that guy? I'm like, shit, I can retire. That's the best compliment I've ever received in my life on anything.
That is where the look what I can do comes in.
Yeah. I'm going to add some damn sound effects. God damn it. I'm going to do that. So, and then, I'll add something to rein my ass back in. My head's getting bigger, but still it's a,
No, that's good for you. Sometimes you really need to have a big head about your sobriety.
yeah, well, and it's good to just get that positive reimbursement, and
Mm-hmm.
that's why, I go after the douchebags that come on and be like, well, you're doing it wrong, or well, obviously it's not working because you just relapse. Well, fuck all the way off, dude. I mean, there is no gauge on it. If you're making an effort, I mean, anybody, like, first of all, these are complete strangers more likely than not that you're talking to. So you
Mm-hmm.
don't know them or what they're going through. And
You don't owe
two,
them anything.
when somebody gets on Twitter and says, yeah, they just said yesterday that they had 14 days and then they come back and like, I relapsed last night. They didn't have to come on and air that to everybody in the universe that they fucked up, but they're doing it for accountability, and they're doing it because they don't want to continue to do it. And they want to hear something that'll help them get to day 2 again.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So anyway,
100%. I love the
well,
support. Often I find that I get more support from strangers about it.
yeah,
And it's so encouraging.
yeah, and there are so many groups, and it's not just AA, but there's secular groups all over the place on the internet. Search them out and just go on Zoom and sit with your camera off. Sometimes they require you to turn them on for a second to show that you're an actual human. And I've seen dudes, twigging berries pop up on these things because there's assholes that pop in there. But you know, go and sit and just listen and see if
Yep.
you can find something that works for you.
Yep. One thing that I do love about my business is I participated in craft fairs, and as my crochet and my sobriety are they're stitched together, I got to share my story with so many people, and I got to connect with so many people that were struggling, or new people that were struggling, or lost family members that were struggling, and it's really encouraging. So I understand the anonymous aspect. I do, but
Sure.
I also I think you're going to get so much more support and love and encouragement if you come out a little bit more. We need to
Yeah.
start taking that stigma away from alcoholism, because we do recover, we do thrive, we do start over. And yes, not everybody's going to have that experience,
Yeah.
but some of us do.
Yeah. And I think, there was a guy that was on the podcast who remained anonymous. He used a different name, and he's anonymous on Twitter. because he's kind of feeling it out. He's like, he's not 100% sure. I mean, he knows he doesn't want to drink anymore, but he still does it from time to time because it's just who he is. But
No, that's
because of the
understandable.
business that he works in,
Hmm.
kind of like, you talked about your dad kind of thinking a certain way because of your history. He's trying to avoid backlash on that, but he's still trying to recover in a way. So it's so important for people like yourself to come on and recover out loud, um, you know, because not everybody can do that. So, and like I have, I have buddies. Well, I have one, my best friend. I'm trying to talk him into coming on the podcast, and this dude goes up and talks to people for his job all day, every day about his job, has no problem. But the fact of getting on a mic and on camera freaks him the fuck out. And he doesn't, he's like terrified of it. And so
I
everybody,
had spent all morning psyching myself up to this, but I have no problem talking about my sobriety. Like I love
yeah,
talking about my sobriety. It's just the getting on the camera part. It's like when I'm trying
sure,
to take pictures of my work out by my apartment, I'm like, I don't want anybody to see me, but I want to post this on the internet for millions of people to see me.
right, right. Yep. So I totally get it. Well,
Oh yeah. It's funny how her brains work.
yeah, yeah, and really when you go out and do that, because I'm saying this from personal experience. I have an ankle monitor on still from my last OWI, and at first I was like, I'm not going to go out and in public with this thing on because what are people going to think? But as I've gotten farther and farther into this, first of all, I don't care, and
Right?
secondly, people aren't even noticing it. Like I said, you know what? When I go out this weekend, I'm going to pay attention to see how many people look at my ankle. And I like one person maybe might have looked down there. And it's like we're just so when you're going out to take these pictures, people are just like, oh, that's somebody taking a picture. And they
Right.
go about their business.
Right. I have Alexis Rose going through my head. Nobody cares, David. Nobody cares. Nobody cares what you do. And that's very true. Nobody
Right on.
cares what I do.
No, they're not paying attention. We create these scenarios in our head. And I think everybody does, but I think those of us in recovery and addiction, we do it even more. And we,
I'm so
we
used to people watching me when I was a
yeah,
drunken mess.
yeah. Well, why don't you, before I let you go, where can we find your creations?
Oh, thank you. Amelzing Stitches. It's like amazing, but Amelzing
Amazing. Nice.
Stitches. It's on Ko-Fi, Ko-Fi.
Okay.
And I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. I'm on TikTok. I like to, on TikTok, it's a lot of focus on my stitches and also reminders to be kind to yourself, positivity and encouragement because life is hard.
Sure.
And that's a big thing that I like to try and bring to my
Oh yeah.
business is just reminders to be kind to yourself. Um,
Awesome.
I can write it down for you and send it to you as well. So
Yeah, I'll throw it up with the link on the video when I post it on
I'm having a
Facebook and
sale right
Twitter.
now.
Oh, well,
I'm
that's
the
perfect
worst at
timing.
advertising my sales too.
Well, I will gladly send it to me on Twitter and I'll copy and paste it with the link of the video. I'll probably post your video tomorrow to give
Thank
the
you.
one I posted this morning 24
Okay.
hours or so to marinate. And then I'll throw the links up with that on Facebook and Twitter, and hopefully maybe somebody will find one. And
As I just want to, happy to help inspire people to give sobriety a chance and people who are in sobriety. I'm happy to be along here with you, and I'm always happy to help lend an ear. I'm not a sponsor, as we can definitely tell, but I'm here for encouragement. I'm here for motivation. Um, you've got this. Take it
yeah,
minute by minute if you have to.
yeah. And your energy is really going to speak to somebody. I can already tell it, man. That's so I really
Thank you.
appreciate it, Mel, for coming on. The laugh and the energy and it's a big deal. It really is, and it will help. So
Thank you. Well,
thank you very
I'm
much.
happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, yeah, and we'll
Chat
I
soon.
yeah, I want to do panel episodes more frequently. I think that you would be a great one to do it. So I will be in
Always
touch.
happy to help. Thank you, Scott.
All right. Well, again, thank you, and give me that stuff. And for
Sure.
those of you listening who didn't catch it, the info, it'll be on Facebook and Twitter tomorrow. So check it out. Have a good
Have
day,
a
everybody.
beautiful day.
Bye bye.